Okay, good stuff. And now there is actually a very interesting topic that we can talk about here. Let's look. Mother tongue education, nation building cannot be enforced by law. Okay, that is a very interesting topic actually. Now, if you know a lot about Africa, you'll know things like, for instance, in Zimbabwe and Zambia, most children can only speak English. They don't speak their native mother tongues anymore. They're all just speaking English. I don't know how it is in Uganda, it could be the same. It's like a lot of other African countries, it's French. I knew even like 25 years back already where my parents knew people living in Zambia and Zimbabwe, and they'd go visit them. And these people, their children, did not speak the black languages anymore. They only speak English. Yeah. So, and on that note, what I basically wanted to say about this specific news article is it's quite funny because in South Africa it's going the same route. Everybody's speaking English. And the education is all in English. And all the black people want their education in English. It's a bit sad. They should actually try to get it in their own languages. But they don't. They think it's better to have it in English. So ironically, the one language that does not come from Africa, that's the one language that's flourishing in South Africa. Or for that matter, in Africa. French, Portuguese, and English, same stuff, and actually Arabic as well. Yeah, funny. So there you have it. Nation building is failing and ANC government attempts to force people by means of legislation to reach out to one another will not work. Okay. Attempt to force people by means of legislation to reach out to one another will not work. So, ANC's got some kind of drive to get people to interact with each other a bit more. That's all it says. Nation building will only succeed if the diversity of our country's communities and cultures is recognized. Yeah, but you have to remember where the ANC comes from. It's a communist political regime, believes in the socialist engineering stuff, the kind of stuff that happened in good old Mother Russia, where all of these peoples in the old Soviet countries were moved around, totally displaced, moved to other places so that they don't have their own cultures and don't have their own groups, and they all get totally intertwined, and the culture clashes due to that means. So I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of the same in South Africa. I mean, it is what it is, it's human nature. If one considers how South Africans act towards one another and treat one another on social media, it is clear that social cohesion and nation building are failing. That's quite funny. I mean, not really funny, it's ironic. But there's a lot of racist slander being chucked around. White, blacks, whites, colored, same stuff. There's a lot of hate on the divide. There's a lot of that going on. There is actually no progress in this in South Africa. I don't think there ever will be. Okay, so it's saying many communities feel excluded. That is true. The colored communities, actually, they would literally be protesting against the government and say they're totally being marginalized and none of their needs are being looked after, and that is actually a fact. The black government gives the colored communities the fingers. South African, the white communities still have a bit of money. I mean, especially a lot of the Anglo-Saxons and Jewish groups that control all the big conglomerates, along with some Indians that control a lot of it as well. And then a lot of the other white South Africans have fairly decent educations and get good jobs and get good income, middle class due to it. So, the middle class always has a voice. It's the way it is. Just complaining about it. Okay, so there's nothing else really interesting in this except for the fact that nation building is a bit of a sham with the ANC. What they're really saying is we just want everybody to be exactly the same. And we want to stay in power. And that's nation building for the ANC. It's interesting because you actually get some black communities that can't stand each other in South Africa. I mean, they would literally go to war with each other. They will burn schools and clinics and hospitals and buses if the different groups use it. That's how bad it is. You get a lot of that as well. People don't talk about it and don't raise it and act like it's only white on black. It's not really the case. You get a bit of the kind of stuff that happens like in Rwanda. If that is really going to be the final thing happening, just know the Zulus will win. Just like way back in the 1700s when they ransacked this old southeastern African area and killed and pillaged all the other black groups, chased them all away. Okay, well, wasn't that interesting. Let's see what else we have. Okay, some Zambian trucks petrol bombed in Alice Ras in the south, in the northwest, probably close to the border to Botswana, as they're coming in. Yup, who is petrol bombing the Zambians? Their brothers in Africa that they really do not care one bit about. It's the second attack in 2 weeks. And once again, the black South Africans are protesting foreigners getting jobs. There's a lot of that happening in South Africa. I mean, it's a bit of a conflict. I'm not quite sure how they resolve it because, if you don't have anything and you see people from other countries getting jobs, then you should probably be a bit jealous or complain about it. But torching trucks, setting them on fire, yeah, that's no good. Huh. That's it. That's all I have to say about it. Wow. Yeah. Second hospital under siege by Nehawu. I'm guessing that's a union. Let's see here what's happening. The northwest. They're burning some stuff in front of the hospital as well. Potchefstroom. Second hospital in the northwest is under siege. Protest action at Klerksdorp Hospital has had a detrimental effect on patients. And physicists and physicians and nursing staff were chased out. Okay, wow, that's rough. Chasing the nurses out that should look after the patients, that should not be happening. Okay, so health services in Klerksdorp Hospital came to a full halt due to the strikes. And that is messed up. That's the kind of stuff that's happening in South Africa now. Then you wonder why people leave. You can think now, nurses can just go and work in another country. Doctors can just pack up and leave and go anywhere else. I mean, then they have to go and import the Cubans. That's all, definitely not at the same level as the doctors should be or used to be in South Africa. Yeah. There you have it. So ex-commissioner and 2 brigadiers in the police is going to jail in South Africa. That is messed up. Let's see here. The Western Cape Police Commissioner and his co-accused were jailed for fraud and corruption. There you have it. You know, and if you have fraud and corruption at the highest level, then you can be pretty sure it will trickle down into the minions and the masses. There you have it. Let's see here. Ernst and Cully threatened by the ANC and EFF supporters. So these guys criticized the ANC and now people want to lynch them. That is where we are in South Africa. It's time for the minorities in South Africa to wake up and realize they have to start taking better care of the other minorities in South Africa, because if they don't, you know, and stuff boils over, it's going to be really nasty for them. Well, here the guy's making a statement saying, one thing is for certain, the white minority has had enough. I'm not so sure. My best friend, he does a lot of business in South Africa. He works hard. He always says that every black person, or for that matter every person that works for him, he wants to see them all succeed as business people. You know, so I'm not sure if the white minority has had enough yet. I think a lot of them are still just looking down. You know, they don't really have anywhere to go. What are they going to do? Complain? Protest? They might complain and protest, but as long as they don't have masses coming together and doing it together, nothing will happen. If you try to silence the one, another will carry the message further. Well, be good if they do, but the question is, what message are they carrying further? You know, you need real civil leaders that look at the civil issues of the white communities. If you have 500,000 white people now actually living in utter poverty without an option to even work, people that don't have business skills, then there should be civil and economic leaders in the white minority, you know, that will go and look after these people. The fact is, English whites will not look after Afrikaans whites, and English Jewish whites will definitely not look after Afrikaans whites, and that's just a fact. So if you don't start getting the Afrikaans white leaders to start looking after the interest of the poor Afrikaans white people, good luck, because the English and the English Jewish leaders that got most of the business power in South Africa will not do it. They've always looked at the Afrikaans white people as the working class, basically providing services for them and work for them. And that's the way it's always been. You know, so time for you to also wake up, Mr. Roots or whatever. You know, you're all ignorant about it. You're trying to comb every white person in South Africa and brush them all as the same. It's not the same. As I've said before, you know, every white group in South Africa have their own cultural groups and their own groupies that they stick with. The Greeks, the Portuguese, the Italians, the Greeks, Spanish, you know, the Brits, the Germans, the old Afrikaans Dutch, you know, they all go and stick with their own groups. They've never looked out for each other, you know, and that's a fact. So for him to go and act like they will all be standing together, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It will take a lot of effort and pain for that to happen. Chances are most people will just go and reject any movement like that in any case, because they will be scared that they'll be branded racists. So that won't happen. And that will be the demise of all the white people in South Africa. That's just a tough thing, you know? For that matter, the white people are now less than the colored people in any case. The colored people should start voicing their frustrations in this way. Maybe they should come together with these organizations for the Afrikaners and basically make a plan, because a lot of the colored people are also Afrikaans. Either way, some traction will be required for any of this to be fulfilled. You know, because most people that you are trying to help here do not care for what you're trying to do and actually think that you're a far right maniac. That is from personal experience. knowing what the Afrikaners and the English whites in South Africa think. Yeah. Good luck to you, Mr. Roots and Mr. Cully. But you really need to figure out how you actually stand for the white people in South Africa. The question is, what white people in South Africa are you standing for? Are you standing for the Afrikaners? You need them to mass around you. You know, you need economic leaders, you need civil leaders to go and pull them all together and fight the causes for them. Fight the causes for their culture, for their language, for their education, for their right to subsistence, for their right to be able to provide jobs for each other and look after each other and care for each other. At this point, they don't care for each other, and you're trying to go and act like they do. They don't. They really need to start looking after each other for any of this to work out. Yeah. Either way, interesting. There you go. Sickening farm attack. Women shot, raped, children brutalized. I think I am going to... There's some violence in here. Let's switch over to that afterwards.